What if your soul chose wrong? Imagine it. Before you were born, before your first breath in this world, there was a moment in a place beyond time. You stood in a realm of quiet light where thought and reality were one, and you were given a choice. In your hands lay a map, the map of a life. It was more than just where you would be born or to whom. It held your joys, your struggles, your moments of triumph and despair. It held the people you would love, the mistakes you would make, and the lessons that would carve your spirit into its highest shape. Edgar Cayce, the man they called the sleeping prophet, spoke often of this sacred moment. He said every soul enters this life with a purpose, a reason it has chosen to return to the earth. Some are here to heal, some to learn patience, some to balance old debts from lives long past. But in all cases, the choice is intentional. Your soul, in its infinite knowing, picks a path that will serve your growth and the greater good. Yet Cayce also warned of something unsettling. Not every soul stays true to the plan. The noise of the world, the pull of comfort, the seduction of fear, these things can draw us away from the map we chose. A life can look full on the outside, yet feel empty within. And so the question comes, how do you know? How can you be certain that you are living the life you were meant to live, and not a shadow of it? Cayce left behind clues, subtle signs that when woven together, tell you whether your feet are on the right path. One of them, he said, is found in the way you work. When you are in alignment with your purpose, your work becomes more than a way to survive. Even in humble tasks, you feel that you are somehow serving. Perhaps you create beauty, or you solve problems, or you offer quiet comfort to those around you. You sense that your presence matters in ways you cannot always measure. Another sign appears in the way you meet difficulty. Cayce taught that the obstacles in your life are not random. They are the chisels that shape the soul. When you are on the right path, your hardships eventually reveal themselves as essential. You look back and say, without that pain, I would not be who I am today. The wounds do not vanish, but they take their place in a larger design. Yet when every trial feels meaningless, when pain leaves only bitterness with no growth behind it, the soul may be telling you that you have wandered from its chosen road. And then there are the encounters, those strange, perfect meetings with people who seem to arrive at just the right time. Cayce believed these were never chance, but deliberate crossings arranged long before you were born. When you are living your true purpose, these meetings multiply. A stranger says a single sentence that changes how you see your life. A friend appears with exactly the help you need before you even ask. It feels like the universe is conspiring to move you forward. But if you find yourself walking alone, cut off from such currents, it may be that the stream you were meant to follow is flowing somewhere else. These signs are not loud. They don't shout. They arrive as quiet truths, felt more than seen. And if you listen closely, they will tell you whether your soul chose well or whether it's time to find the map again. Cayce often spoke of a hidden rhythm in life, a pulse that beats beneath the surface of our days. And when you are living the purpose your soul chose before you were born, this rhythm feels as if it moves with you, guiding you like a current carries a leaf along a stream. You may not always be aware of it in the moment, yet when you pause to look back, you notice how certain events lined up too perfectly to be mere coincidence, how choices you made without knowing why later revealed themselves as steps along a much larger path. He described this state as a kind of partnership between the soul and the divine, where your inner compass is so attuned to the original plan that even the detours serve it, and the wrong turns somehow lead you to the right places. In such a life, you begin to feel that you are being accompanied by an unseen presence. Call it intuition, call it guidance, call it God. And its voice speaks not in thunder, but in impressions, nudges, and sudden moments of clarity. This is why, according to Cayce, another proof that you're on the right path is the growing trust you have in that voice. At first, it may come as a faint suggestion to take a certain road home, to reach out to someone you haven't spoken to in years, or to try something completely outside your comfort zone. When you follow it, even without understanding, it so often leads to an opportunity or a revelation that you cannot dismiss it as chance. And the more you trust it, the clearer and stronger it becomes, until it begins to feel less like a whisper and more like a conversation with something ancient and wise within you. Yet Cayce also warned that ignoring this inner guidance repeatedly and willfully can cause it to fade, just as a neglected path in the woods will vanish under weeds and time. A soul far from its purpose will often feel lost in its own life, second-guessing every choice, seeking advice from others, yet never finding answers that bring peace. It is not that the guidance has left, but that the noise of the world has grown so loud it can no longer be heard. He also spoke of joy, not the fleeting kind born from a sudden stroke of luck, but the deep, quiet joy that wells up from knowing you are exactly where you are meant to be. This joy can coexist with sorrow, with exhaustion, even with uncertainty about the future, because it is not based on circumstances, but on alignment. You might be working long hours, caring for others, or facing trials that would have once broken you, yet there is a thread of meaning that runs through it all, making even the smallest acts feel sacred. That thread, Cayce said, is unmistakable when the soul is on its chosen course. And perhaps one of the most overlooked signs lies in the way your dreams change. He did not see dreams as random fragments of the mind, but as a language through which the soul speaks when waking life is too noisy to listen. When you are in harmony with your purpose, your dreams often carry a sense of clarity, offering symbols and stories that encourage you forward or affirm the choices you have made. They may bring you messages from those you love, glimpses of future possibilities, or reminders of strengths you have forgotten you possess. For those who have drifted from their true path, dreams may grow restless or chaotic, filled with confusion or repetition, as if the soul is trying again and again to get your attention. In this way, Cayce suggested that the truth of whether your soul chose well is not hidden at all. It is written in your days, whispered in your thoughts, and woven into the tapestry of every meeting, every challenge, every strange coincidence, waiting for you to pause long enough to read it. Cayce believed that another way to recognize a life in harmony with its intended course was through the state of your relationships, not merely in how many people surround you, but in the quality of the bonds that form. He taught that souls often travel together, through many lifetimes, taking on new roles for one another. A child in one life may return as a parent in the next. A rival may become an ally. A stranger may arrive as the very friend you have always needed. When you are aligned with your true purpose, these connections emerge at exactly the right moments, carrying with them a sense of familiarity that cannot be explained by the short span of time you have known each other. There is often no need for long histories or formal introductions. You meet their eyes and feel as if some ancient part of you already knows their story. In such relationships, growth is inevitable, even when the encounters are difficult. Sometimes these souls appear to challenge you, to push you toward lessons you might otherwise avoid. And while the moments can be painful, Cayce saw them as sacred exchanges, agreements made long before you both return to the earth. If your life feels empty of such connections, if you cannot recall the last time you felt a bond that changed you, it may be that you have stepped onto a road where these agreed-upon meetings can no longer find you. He also pointed to the way time itself feels when you are living your true purpose. Though the hours and days still pass as they do for everyone, there is less of the restless impatience that marks a life out of sync. Even when work is demanding or challenges mount, there is a sense that you are where you should be, and so the passing of time feels less like a weight and more like a river that carries you forward. In moments of deep alignment, you may even lose track of time entirely, slipping into a state where action and awareness are so intertwined that the hours vanish unnoticed. Cayce considered these states of immersion whether in creating, helping, or simply being present, as evidence that the soul is moving exactly as it intended. Yet perhaps the most subtle proof lies in the way you respond to the world itself. A soul in harmony with its plan does not need life to be perfect to be at peace. Rather, it develops a resilience that allows it to meet both joy and sorrow without losing its center. This is not the cold distance of indifference, but a steady warmth, a quiet trust that all experiences, even the ones you would never choose, are still part of a larger design. Cayce taught that such trust is not easily won, for it comes only from having lived long enough in alignment to see how often life has turned hardship into wisdom, loss into compassion, and endings into beginnings. And so, each of these signs, the deep connections that seem written in eternity, the unhurried flow of time, the steady trust that carries you through storms, are not isolated clues, but threads in a single weave. The more of them you find in your life, the more certain you can be that the map you hold is the very one your soul chose before the first light touched your eyes. He said that when you are walking the path your soul intended, there is an increasing harmony between your inner life and your outer actions. You begin to notice that the choices you make, even in small matters, feel congruent with your deepest convictions. You do not have to force yourself to live by your principles. Instead, they rise naturally in you, shaping your decisions as easily as breath shapes your voice. This kind of integrity does not require perfection, for Cayce was clear that mistakes are part of the journey, but rather it brings a sense of wholeness, as if the many scattered pieces of who you are have finally agreed to work together. This alignment also brings with it a certain fearlessness, not because danger has vanished, but because you have grown more willing to follow where the path leads. You find yourself saying yes to opportunities that once frightened you, taking steps into the unknown, because something within assures you that it is the right direction. Even when the outcome is uncertain, you feel guided, supported, and strangely at peace with whatever may come. Cayce considered this willingness to trust the unfolding of life as one of the strongest proofs that the soul is in its rightful place. For fear is a heavy chain that often binds those who have wandered from their path, while trust is the steady gait of one who remembers where they are going. And then there is gratitude, not the polite thanks we offer out of habit, but the deep, almost wordless gratitude that rises unexpectedly in ordinary moments. It might come as you step into the sunlight after a long day indoors, as you hear the laughter of someone you love, or as you notice the way the air smells before rain. Cayce believed that this gratitude is not for the moment itself, but for the quiet recognition that you are exactly where you need to be to experience it. A soul living its true purpose begins to notice such moments more often, and the awareness becomes a steady undercurrent, coloring life with meaning, even in difficult seasons. Finally, Cayce spoke of a certain stillness that comes to those who are fully aligned with their chosen path. It is not the absence of activity or challenge, but the inner stillness of a traveler who has stopped looking over their shoulder or questioning every turn. This stillness does not mean that the journey is over. Rather, it means that you have made peace with it, that you have accepted your role in the story your soul set out to live. When these signs begin to gather in your life, the natural alignment of values and actions, the willingness to step forward without fear, the deep gratitude for the smallest gifts, and the stillness that settles within. Cayce would say you are no longer guessing whether your soul chose well. You are living the answer. So, did your soul choose wrong? That question, planted like a seed in your mind, may have felt sharp when you first heard it. A challenge, a doubt, an unsettling possibility. But as Cayce would have reminded us, the soul does not truly choose wrong. It may be delayed, distracted, or diverted, yet the path it came to walk is never lost. Even when we wander, the map remains within us, waiting for the moment we are ready to follow it again. Perhaps as you listened, you recognize some of these signs in your own life. The work that feels like service, the hardships that shaped you rather than shattered you, the encounters that arrived with uncanny timing, the trust in a quiet inner voice, the bonds that seem older than this lifetime, the unhurried rhythm of days, the steady courage to say yes, the gratitude for moments that others might pass by, and the deep stillness that comes from knowing you are where you belong. If these have been part of your journey, then Cayce's wisdom would say your soul is exactly where it needs to be. Cayce often said that the purpose of life is not to escape the world, but to bring the light of the soul into it. Whether through great works or quiet acts, whether in a single lifetime or across many, this is the mission we all share. And when you are living it, even in part, you will feel the subtle proof, not as a loud declaration, but as a deep, quiet knowing that you are in the right place, doing the right thing, at the right time. So listen closely. Pay attention to the threads of meaning that run through your days. Notice the people who arrive, the challenges that teach, the whispers of intuition, and the gratitude that rises unbidden. In these, you will find your answer. And perhaps one day, when someone asks you the question, "Did your soul choose wrong?" you will be able to smile, not because you have all the proof in the world, but because in your heart, you already know.